There we go. Good morning, gardeners. Oh, I didn't get that terribly well done this morning. Uh, hello. I'm Grant. I'm a Bernard. I'm a horticulturist. This is Habitat Gardening. Oh, even my backdrop's only partially. Oh, it's a mess this morning. Beautiful morning here in Melbourne, Australia, Wurundjeri country. Uh, and I'm going out shortly to go and do some plant stuff. I'm going to go and check out one of the local plant cellarianas, uh, otherwise known as a nursery, and I'm going to go and see how healthy their plant stock is. Going to record some videos for an upcoming habitat gardening stream where I can give you some hints about how to tell if the plant that you are potentially about to purchase is indeed a healthy plant. Um, yeah, I won't go over that too much. More. Thank you for the Facebook like there, Glenn. Good morning to you. I'm assuming that you're out in the Botanic Gardens this morning. Glenn, regular watcher, listener, participant, and guest on the show. Glenn showed off his habitat garden. Hope it's a lovely day out there in up in Sydney. Also, thoughts going out to my friends in the Philippines who are have overnight endured their second major typhoon in 4 weeks, which is very, very difficult, and especially when the structures that so many people live in the Philippines are, not designed to withstand typhoons. So I'm hoping to get some good news updates later on today. Anyway, let's get into what I wanted to talk about today. Will probably be pretty short and sweet. When we've been discussing gardening, habitat gardening for it's probably getting on to a year or so now that we've been doing this. I've been focusing mostly on native Australian plants. And the reason for that is that the animals are mostly adapted to deal with them. Glenn, thanks for. Here we go. Glenn telling me he's out in the Mount Annan Botanic Gardens today. Not a bit of light rain, mistletoe birds and grass birds about there. Well, little grass birds. There we are. Very good, very good. Naomi and I were discussing the other day that grass birds are about the hardest birds to tell apart in Australia. That'd be an interesting conversation to have, wouldn't it? So enjoy it out there today, Glenn. Hey, Glenn, I don't know if you caught up with the latest membership perk that I have put together. I'll do a separate video on it, but I will mention it to you now. Because I am propagating plants for my habitat gardening project here, what is happening when you propagate your own plants, especially from seed, especially Australian native plant seed. So much of it is very light, and when you sow a little bit and you only want 2 or 3 plants, you often end up with many, and that's what's happening with my situation now. I've been out collecting a lot of seed from plants that I think are good, have many characteristics to recommend them in the habitat garden. So anyway, cut a long story short, I'm going to end up with loads and loads and loads of excess seedlings particularly, but also cuttings. And I thought, what a good membership perk that would be. How about, as part of an annual membership to support the bird emergency and habitat gardening, that for the price of the annual membership, which people could normally buy, we'll just throw in a dozen mixed plants that can be suitable for a habitat garden. And a special bonus for anyone who takes up that offer in November, I'll send you 2 dozen. So what they will be is seedlings or cuttings in a 50 millimetre forestry tube, packed in a box, sent out by the post. The post is quite good at doing that now. So if you are interested, and particularly, Glenn, I know you probably don't need many more plants, but maybe there's people you would like to give them away to. And there's a lot of callistemons, and there's quite a few interesting callistemons that you won't see out in nurseries. And then I've got Banksias, about a dozen Banksias. I'll put all this together. I'll write a post about it, of everything that is out there that I'm propagating. Melaleucas, let's see, quite a few climbers, Canedias, Solias. What else we got? Corias, Baronias. Yeah, lots. Hakias. So I'll put a list together. Now, how it will work is, as the plants mature enough to the point where they're big enough for me to be sending them out, that's when I will be dispatching them. So the cutting stock will probably be later than the seed stock. I imagine the seed stock will be in about 12 weeks. And then there'd be another batch go out later. And we might do an ongoing subscription. We'll just see if people are interested. But Glenn, I thought you might be interested in that. I know Naomi was interested. And I worked it out that I was just having a look at how much tube stock is being sold for now. Actually, I'll just, before I share this page, I'll just have a look too. It was between $3 and $5. I know that's terribly interesting watching online. I'll look at online prices. Here we go. There's a couple of new nurseries I haven't looked at for a while online. Let's have a look at what their basic tube stock prices are. By size. Oh, that's they've got $5 a plant. What about this one? Between $3.75 and $5. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, it works out to be about $1.20 a plant, and you're not buying plants. You are supporting me, like paying my internet bill and things like that. So that's where we're up to. So I will do another. Well, I'll probably bombard the socials with it. You'll be sick to death of of me talking about it. But what I wanted to do today is talk about you don't have to go totally native in your garden, and indeed there are many plants which deserve a place if you have room for them. Look at this one, this plant. I'm sure we, I'm sure we know this plant. Let me get to the bird of paradise, right? Um, Strelitzia regilia, but there is other Strelitzias, birds of paradise, that are um, well worth checking out. Maybe you've seen Strelitzia Nicolai. Um, Strelitzia Nicolai. This one. Come on. It's the same. Oh God. It's the same flower type as the bird of paradise. It is a bird of paradise, but this is a very large plant, Strelitzia Nicolai. Um, well worth um, well worth seeking out and adding into your garden. But what some of the others I I really like is let me let me get to this one now. Come on. Wow, just having a look at so many of these plants, even up to $10 a plant now on uh, for just a small plant. Amazing. Oh, my internet's very bad today. Come on, here we go. Uh, so yeah, the common honeysuckle, the climber that you may see around your neighbourhood. I've got one just around the corner from me. Now, the honeysuckle, some of the honey eaters will like it. This is Linicera japonica. There also is a couple of other varieties of Linicera. Um, it's popular with some of the honey eaters, but the main benefit is that it's lightly fragrant and that insects really enjoy it. So uh, it's one that I would recommend always if you cannot find a suitable climber, native climber. Sometimes the Canedias are too rampant. Um, do um, do consider the Linicera. Um, there are there are many plants that are insect friendly, and they're often much easier to get um, in your local nursery. So sometimes you need to make um, make a compromise. That's the word I'm looking for. Um, uh, a compromise. So just have a look at the variety you can get in the daisy family, in the Asteraceae. Uh, what you do need to be careful of is many of these plants have weed potential, and I'm particularly thinking of gazanias, which is the African daisy, and the uh, what is it? Erig, erig, Erigeron, the seaside daisy. But many of these daisies have weed potential. So perhaps going for a cultivar might be better, or for going for things like you'll see in the larger photo there, some of the sort of cone daisies, the rudbeckias and the what is it, conospermums and plants like that. Australian native daisies are much more available. Brachy's and the paper daisies, helichrysum, helipterums, the everlastings, and the paper daisies. But sometimes they are not large enough for the impact statement that you want from a design point of view in your garden. And that's where you may want to go for some of the taller daisies that are common in herbaceous borders. So a lot of cottage garden plants will be suitable for the statement, the look that you want in your habitat garden. And the main benefit with these plants from a habitat point of view is that butterflies and other nectar and pollen feeding insects will use them. They also form as a platform for sunbathing. Some insects do need to warm up in the morning, and these flowers provide that option. A lot of animals like to eat the flowers as well, and of course, many of these herbaceous plants provide food for plant-eating insect larvae, or other arthropods can feed on them too. So think about using them. I always err on the side that if you can use a native plant for the same purpose, if you can find a native plant that will fulfill the same function for you in the garden, go with the native plant. But it may be the only option for you that you use an introduced plant. Now, I was hoping that someone would tell us if you have a exotic or introduced plant in your garden that the birds, insects, and animals absolutely love. Other plants that are very popular with insects, where I live, there's a couple of gardens that use jasmine, Jasminum polyanthus, Jasminum azoricum, on their fence or fences, and the insects really like them. They got a benefit for the people in the area that, again, they're lightly fragrant. Another one that is very pleasant because it smells nice is Loculia gratissima. Here we are. Oh, hello, Chris. Chris, nice to see you again, Chris. I hope you're well. Yeah, gazanias can be a very bad environmental weed. Gazanias and the seaside daisy, which I think is Erigeron, it's maybe had a name change, can definitely be problems. So if you are thinking of buying an Asteraceae, a daisy, seek some advice about it. The plants that are, I mean, this is a bugbear of mine. You know, from years ago, I worked in a production nursery that produced hundreds of thousands, millions of plants probably about 1 million plants a year. And a lot of those went out the um, into the supermarkets in their mixed dozens that they would do. Uh, And, you'll see every spring there'll be some cheap plants at the front of the supermarket with some potting mix or something else alongside. And many of those were environmental weeds. And I used to be always talking to the managers of the nursery. And then later on, when I worked at Bunnings, I would talk to the buyers of the at Bunnings and say, "Can you just derange these, and can you buy something else?" And there was huge resistance to it for no good reason, because there were always um, replacements, and they're always available for the similar prices or same prices. Chris, this is a good comment. Eastern spinebills do indeed love salvias. Many of the small honey eaters love salvias, and you'll find salvias everywhere, and they'll be in your herb garden. You can growing in your veggie garden. The 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 other plant like a salvia, it's not like a salvia in terms of its relationships or anything, but fuchsias. Fuchsias are fantastic for honey eating birds. Also, because of soft foliage, a lot of insects like them as well. Um, Heliconias, if you live in the tropics, the nectar feeding birds and bats, love them. Oh, Glenn, nice comment. Got a couple of jacaranda trees amongst the large bottlebrush trees, and the lorikeets and warbirds always in them. Glenn, what are they doing in the jacaranda trees? Are they eating? Are they feeding on nectar? Uh, or are they doing like like Loz, the lorikeet, who you might hear um, he's very busy out in the other room now. Uh, I bring him at the moment. There's a brachychiton, one of the. It's not the bottle tree, and it's not the flame tree. It's the other common brachychiton that is in cultivation, and there's 4 of them, street trees, around the corner, and they're flowering at the moment. So I go around each morning and nip off a couple of sprays of the flowers, and Loz loves them. He just tears them apart. They're tasty. He likes eating the mature open flowers, but also ripping the buds apart. I'm guessing that the lorikeets are ripping the jacaranda flowers apart. Uh, so Glenn's telling me they're feeding on the nectar. Very good. I would think that's what the wattlebirds are doing. Very good. Well, not knowing much about the jacaranda flowers, because there's some right in the city of Melbourne, but I don't think there's hardly any around here. So I haven't observed that, but I'll take your word for it. So that's good. The street trees. So jacarandas can serve as that large tree in your garden if you don't want to use a eucalypt or something like a banksia. Um, have the benefit, or as some people will see it as a benefit, that jacarandas are deciduous. Although in some climates they're semi-deciduous, but that they will shed leaves in the winter to let more light through. So that's a plus. Um, I was thinking, I didn't want to start talking too much about plants to avoid, but there are some plants around here that are very, very popular with the birds, but they're popular for all the bad reasons, and that we should not be planting new ones of them. And that's the date palm, Phoenix canariensis. Now in Melbourne, it's been used and is recognised as this emblematic street and parkland species. But the sparrows, the starlings, the miners, and even the lorikeets roost in them, uh, which is a behaviour that I don't think is desirable, because it's usually in places where they congregate, be very noisy and become pesty. I'd much rather them dispersing and roosting in eucalypts and corymbias and angophoras like they do generally out in the bush. Um, but the sparrows and the behaviour, culture, ecology. Hello, just joined on Instagram. Uh, I'll just let you know that the Instagram stream is a little bit delayed. I can see your comments today. If you've got a question or a comment about uh, maybe you've got popular uh, exotic introduced plant in your habitat garden that the animals just love, pop a comment in, and I will respond to it. If you've got a question, ask a question, and we'll respond to it. Um, Chris, if you're still there, I'm really interested in how your patch is going, and are you seeing anything interesting going on in your part of the world? I did see on the bird watching alerts recently that out that way there's been quite a few swift parrots and purple crowned lorikeets seen recently. Have you seen anything that is notable? I think I mentioned the other morning that I've seen my first musk lorikeet for the season, so I'm looking forward to all of the eucalypts around the park, across the road from my place, bursting into flower. There's only a little bit of the Eucalyptus leucoxylon just at the beginning of their flowering period, so I don't have many of the lorikeets in the park at the moment. Just the regular wattlebirds. The noisy miners are getting busy, and the New Holland honeyeaters are here. The white-plumed honeyeaters have moved on, so hopefully they'll be back when there's a bit more feed around. The most prominent introduced flowering plant around me and the gardens that I walk around is the bird of paradise at the moment, the Strelitzia reginae, reginae. That's very, very prominent around here. The other introduced plant, which is really prominent around here, but it's not too good for most of the birds, are the olives. Lots of people have olives on their nature strips here and in their gardens. Lots of roses as well at the moment. One of the old favourites that has been ripped out in so many of the gardens that have been redeveloped here were camellias, and I wanted to mention that camellias are a good option for you if you need to do screening or hedging, because insects and some of the nectar feeding birds will actually be feeding on the camellia flowers, but camellias offer a great refuge for insects and small animals. Chris has said, yes, seen the purple crowned lorikeet, so it's great. No swift parrots. I thought the Swifties were all back in Tassie. Have they? Um, they have been in the last week or two been recorded, so they're heading south. Actually, why don't I do that? Why don't I look up? I'll look up and see whether there's been any reports in the last couple of days. Da, 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 da. Just let me get this. Just logging in, getting into eBird. Gee, I haven't done an eBird checklist for a while. Explore species. All right, let's see what the latest has been. Sorry, folks, it's very slow, the internet at my place this morning for some reason. Um, oh, come on. Not telling me. Well, that's not working, is it? Here we go. Here we go. Maybe this is coming up. Victoria. This will be better. Come on. Okay, last 7 days. I'll just see if we've got a Swifty in here. Oh, this is where we found the channeled billed cuckoos in Traralgon. That's right. I'm just going down the last 7 days redbird alerts and seeing if there's a Swifty in here. Yes, there is. Swift parrot confirmed. Ocean Grove, Cheltenham Park, Bayside, Lake Knox in Knox, Woodlands Estate Geelong. So that's the last 7 days. Not big numbers, only 2, 1, 1, 1, 3, but yeah, they'll be the stragglers on their way home. I'll check New South Wales too. Oh, good, Chris. I'll get to that in a second. Um, I'll just put in New South Wales too and see if there's many on the way through. Yeah, this is what we do, folks. We get distracted. Uh, we get distracted. Lots of seabirds on the New South Wales list because looks like everyone was on the same. Oh, the Tahiti petrol. Actually, I need to chase that one up. That was a beauty. Okay, where are we looking? Budgerigars in. Oh, lots of plum-headed finches in. No Swifties in New South Wales, so they're pretty much all on the way on the way down. Oh, good morning, Naomi. Naomi's here too, so that's good to good to hear. Okay, back to you, Chris. Oh, I probably should have showed that rare bird alert, shouldn't I? So Chris was at Jehoshaphat Gully in King Lake National Park and saw a few good forest birds: Rufous fantail, leaden flycatcher, eastern whipbirds, gang cockatoos, and lyrebirds. Chris, tell me if you noticed, were the Rufous fantails looking like they were breeding? Were they exhibiting any courtship displays, or were they foraging and heading off to feed fledglings? What do you think was going on? Did you see more than one? Um, um, I really miss the we used to have grey fantails here regularly, and they've just disappeared. I miss the fantails. Um, uh, Naomi, earlier on, before I think you popped in, I was just running through with Glenn. I don't know if Glenn was listening because he's out in the Botanic Gardens this morning. Um, some of the some of the species that are on my propagation list here um, that will be part of that membership perk bundle thing. So I won't run through it again, but I might let you know that I'm thinking of doing a stream tomorrow afternoon slash evening, as you had suggested to me, Naomi, to talk about uh, bird watching and the results of the weekend bird watching. So I'm going out this afternoon to see what's um, in the linear park here, which is one of the largest open spaces. And I popped through there the other day. One of the largest open spaces in my locality. I popped through there the other day and didn't see anything interesting, but I'll go and give it another go. Um, yeah, so there we go, Glenn. Glenn did hear the promotion for membership. I'm glad to hear that, Glenn. Glenn, do you think it's a good idea? Uh, would could you use a dozen or two um, unusual native seedlings? Um, uh, Chris has filled in our knowledge a bit more. I only saw one, but heard a few calling further away. Okay, they're a lot more vocal than I've seen them in the past. Yeah, I'm figuring, Chris, that it might be that time where they're strengthening their pair bonds. I thought a lot of the birds would have been added a bit earlier this year, but uh, lots of the local birds here are just doing all of the courtship behaviours, chasing off rivals. The crested pigeons and the spotted doves are uh, getting very randy. I saw lorikeets inspecting hollows in. Uh, there's two hollows I know about in one tree on the other side of the park, and the lorikeets were inspecting those hollows. They do it every year. They put a lot of attention into checking out these two hollows, and then they don't stay in them. Hello to the newcomers, latecomers. Welcome on Facebook and on YouTube. If you're not subscribed already, I should note, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that. YouTube have changed their criteria for me to be able to open up some more features on YouTube. So I now need to smash through the 500 subscriber roof. And it's taken a long time. It took me a long time to get to 100. It took a fairly long time to get to 200. Getting to 300 was a little bit quicker. Now I've got to get from 300 up to 500. So if you're not subscribed, please do. I would appreciate that. Yeah. Well, Chris and Glenn. Glenn says, yes, Glenn, I did think that you would not fit many more in, but I was thinking it's the kind of thing that you can use to encourage your neighbours. They're effectively super cheap plants. So it's something that you could share around, I thought. So yes, and I agree. Looking to it's a good way to start habitat garden. It certainly is. Naomi, what have you got here? Always interested in bird watching shows. To answer your question, I have Japanese and Chinese maples in my backyard that all the little birds seem to love. Now that's an interesting point, Naomi. I have right in front of the window of our lounge room. So when the blind is up, next to the TV, there is a Japanese maple, and the sparrows love it. The sparrows are in it all the time. There doesn't seem to be a lot of insects in the ones here, but the sparrows are always moving through it. I don't have much else to that go into it. The wattlebirds don't come that close. I have seen the New Holland honeyeaters in there, but it's mostly sparrows, and like lots of them, it will get in there at the one time. So that's good. That's a favourite. Naomi, you've got it around your place. You'd have a lot of those things like honeysuckles growing, wouldn't you? And there's a lot of very traditional gardens in your area. So I'm wondering what is popular amongst the birds. And a lot of these plants too, the fragrant plants particularly, the bats like them. So you probably don't see the bats using them, but the bats do love them. So that's good. Oh, well, while you're all here and you're all commenting, that's good. We're back to active shows. I'm happy about that. Do you have any habitat gardening topics you would like me to put on the list? I've just started reaching out again to get some guests on for habitat gardening. Unfortunately, because of the time that I've chosen, most of them will have to be pre-recorded so that I can then play and we can all talk about when they're played. It's hard to find someone at this time, but topics, anything that you would like me to cover. Well, I think I'm going to drop off the I've just popped the got rid of the Instagram. There's nobody popping in and contributing from Instagram. We'll just go back to the two. Naomi says, so I get so jealous, Naomi. Look, yes, thankfully you don't have any sparrows. Yes, I'm happy you don't have any sparrows. But sparrows, of all the little birds that I get to watch house sparrows, tree sparrows, occasional greenfinches, and occasional goldfinches, and occasional Australian silvereye. Don't even have any thornbills anymore that are regularly in the park. It's one thing the council around here has successfully done by removing all of the ground level shrubs is remove thornbills, fairy wrens, fantails from the suburb. So Naomi does have thornbills, Georgines, weebill, Lewin's honeyeaters. They're all in the maple. Well, that's good to hear. Tons of camellias and rhododendrons. Yes, the camellias are popular. King parrots eat the flowers. We have more jasmines and honeysuckles. Okay, that's interesting. I think honeysuckle is really out of favour. Oh, and bearing in mind that maybe we used to produce, I think, 7 or 8 varieties of jasmine when I worked at that production nursery, and they all got sent out to Coles and Woolies and Kmart's and to Bunnings and everything. So perhaps that annual promotion is one of the reasons why why there's so many jasmines around. All right, folks. Other questions or comments? Anything else you'd like to add? There are 2 other classes of ornamental plants that are good for various reasons, and ferns are one of them. A lot of the ferns that you can buy in nurseries are not native, and in general, they don't have that much potential to be a weed, unless they're dumped, which don't do that. Oh, Naomi has also got. You've also got fairy wrens, grey fantails, rufous fantails, crimson rosellas, and monarchs. So I'm thinking you've got the. When you say monarchs, are we talking about the black-faced monarch at your place there? Yeah. Oh, look, I'm jealous of all of you. Even you've all got much better birds at your place than I have, and I feel. I always feel jealous. I shouldn't. I should be a bigger person than feeling jealous, but I do. Yeah. Okay. I'll let you know what the plan is. I don't imagine that I'm going to get anyone to confirm being a guest tomorrow, but we'll give it a go. I've sent out a few invites, so maybe someone will want to come in. We get 7 or 7:30, I think, is the time that we'll aim for. And the idea is just to talk anything about bird watching. You can tell me what you saw, what you've been seeing, what you're planning. And I think that is where, in that time slot, is where I will play interviews with people who run bird tours or have been on bird tours. I think that's where that will end up. again, because of the time, most of them will probably end up being pre-records that I will play in that time and then can comment on it. But that's the idea. I just want to have a bit more fun now that, yeah. So I just want to have a bit more fun. There's more than enough terrible stuff going on, and we don't need to go on about it all the time. I think that in the run-up to elections and when lobbying and can be effective, there's times when it can be effective, and then I think there's times where we just have to enjoy what we're doing, and I think we're in that time now. We're in that time now. So, questions, comments? We'll just stick around for just a bit longer. I hope in the Sydney region it's not raining too heavy. Chris, you'll have to be wearing your hat and putting the sunscreen on. I know I've whacked on all the sunscreen on the arms and on the legs the last 2 days, so be heading out again shortly. Naomi also says right down to the back there's bracken fern that a lot of birds use as shelter. Yeah, the Wonga pigeons. See, I'm so jealous. Oh, that's the other thing. That reminds me. Blue Sky. I'm in the process of moving. I have been present on Blue Sky. I've now downloaded my archive from Twitter, so I will be focusing much more on Blue Sky than on Twitter. If you're on Blue Sky, thebirdemergency.com/Blue Sky is where you'll find my profile, and you can follow me there. I will tell you that many of the best people that I interacted with on Twitter are already on Blue Sky. So, and you do not get any rubbish in your feed, which I am thankful of. It also lets you subscribe to other people's lists and follow everyone in a very easy way. And I have not noticed that there are any bots in my feed. I'm not getting any ads, and I'm not getting stuff from people who I have blocked popping up in my feed. So I'm very thankful about that. So First Seen and Heard is on Blue Sky, and that's really, so far, Blue Sky is really nice. It's more user-friendly than Mastodon, but I have found an open source ad that will post to Blue Sky and Mastodon, and there's a tool where you can locate your Twitter community on Blue Sky, and then you can easily follow all of them. Anyway, I might do a video. We might do a video or a stream going through the pros and cons of shifting, of moving. Anyway, I thought I'd let you know that. So we're ticking up to an hour. That'll be a nice time to finish up. Everyone enjoy your day. Naomi, I might let you know that apart from Buy Me a Coffee, I've been approved with PayPal now so that all cards can be processed through my PayPal. So lots more options if you would like. But anyway, I'll probably do something more particularly on that list of plants. Enjoy your weekend. bird nerds and gardeners, if you do any bird watching, tell me what you see next time we catch up. And if you've been doing anything interesting in your own garden, again, tell me, let me know. Let's talk about it. I'm awaiting a delivery of some propagation media. So when I do my sort of production run of cuttings, I'll show you what I do and my preparation, washing the plant material, and then what I use to promote the root growth in the cutting and the type of media I use. But I think deliveries seem to take quite a long time at the moment, getting things in. Things that used to take 2 days now take weeks. So, yeah, it'd be great. Thank you, Naomi. Have a great weekend yourself too. Glenn, same to you. Enjoy the garden. I haven't had time to catch up on your mushroom picks, so I must spend some time in other people's social media feeds over the weekend. I'll try and do that. I don't know if you guys have caught up. I'm doing a course which keeps me busy in class all day Friday and takes about another day and a half a week of watching training videos and reading resources and researching online. So I'm a little bit down on the time that I used to have to pop through everyone's socials, but I'll try and catch up. See you tomorrow night if you want to join in on the bird watching stream. I think we'll do that YouTube, Facebook, excuse me, and Twitch. I think we'll send that out to all three there, and we'll be doing a news coverage roundup of COP29, and yeah, a bit of renewable energy news that I've caught up with. We'll do that on Monday, somewhere around midday. Might be 1 o'clock. It depends if I've been out at the shops, I guess. So that's what's coming up. And of course, Tuesday afternoon, Elizabeth Bell, Biz Bell, Managing Director of Wildlife Management International, based in New Zealand, but specialising for about 30 years, been working on protecting endangered species, critically endangered species on remote islands, mostly off the coast of New Zealand, but in other parts of the world too. So we'll be talking about Biz's career, the company, and just a general bird emergency style chat. So that's 3 p.m. Tuesday, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So, someone new just popped in. Hello, newcomer, but we're wrapping up for now. Catch us next time. Make sure if you're on Facebook, make sure you follow the Bird Emergency Podcast Facebook page. If you're on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribed to the Bird Emergency. birdemergency.com/blue sky. Follow us there. See you all.